All right, let's just get right into it. The world. Well, it doesn't always play by the rules. You can be the most honest person in the room and someone might still betray you. You can be the most skilled and someone less qualified gets the promotion. That's just how it is sometimes. But you know what? The people who get that, they survive. And the ones who survive are the ones who end up thriving. So today, we're going to unpack the mindset that lets you navigate this whole complex game. See, most people out there are playing checkers. They react with their emotions, they're predictable, and way too often, they end up feeling like a victim of their circumstances. But this is about learning to play chess. It's about shifting from being reactive to being strategically intelligent, from predictable to in control, from a victim to a survivor, someone who can succeed no matter what the board looks like. And the key to this whole thing is a concept called dark intelligence. Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds a little evil, right? But it's not. Think of it more like a strength that's forged in the fire. It's born from pain, from being let down, from failing. While other people break from those experiences, you build. This is the kind of intelligence that listens way more than it talks, that stays quiet and watches, that plans while everyone else is getting swept up in the drama. And let's be crystal clear about something before we go any further. This isn't a playbook for becoming a monster. This knowledge is a shield. It's for protection, not for destruction. The goal here is to understand the rules of the game so you can defend yourself, not so you can become the bad guy. It's all about strategic self-preservation. Okay, so let's get into the first set of traits. This section is all about the art of perception, which is about controlling how you see the world, and maybe even more importantly, how the world sees you. So first up is a trait called calculated opacity. All this really means is that you only show people what's absolutely necessary. See, when people don't have all the information, their minds just fill in the blanks automatically. And it's what they think they know about you, that space you create, that gives you the ability to strategically influence things. And this just nails the point, doesn't it? Machiavelli himself said it perfectly. Everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are. People are always going to build a version of you inside their own heads. Calculated opacity is just you being smart about which building blocks you hand them. Just look at the difference here. Someone asks about your weekend. The answer on the left, totally standard, totally forgettable. The conversation's over. But the one on the right, I have something important to take care of. Suddenly, there's a little bit of mystery. The entire dynamic of the conversation shifts. You haven't lied about anything. You've just controlled the flow of information. That is strategic communication. And that leads right into our second trait, the adaptive persona. Now, this isn't about being two-faced or fake. It's all about being effective. The best analogy is water, right? Water can be in a cup, a bottle, a river. It always takes the shape of its container, but it never ever stops being water. You adapt how you communicate to fit the situation you're in, but you never lose who you are at your core. And that brings us to controlled exposure. We live in a world where everyone overshares everything all the time. So the person who shares things strategically really stands out. You have to be intentional. Remember, once you give away a piece of information, you can never get it back. By being selective, you create these little curiosity gaps that actually make people lean in and listen more closely. Your words start to have more weight simply because you don't waste them. Okay, so we've talked about perception, but now let's move on to the art of influence. This is all about how you can subtly shape the game you're in, a lot of times without even saying a single word. Now, this next idea, this is one of the most powerful concepts you will ever learn. It's the principle of detachment, and it's so simple, yet so profound. Whatever you are not afraid to lose cannot control you. Think about it. Most people are completely controlled by their fears. Fear of losing a job, losing a relationship, losing respect. When you let go of that fear, you find real freedom. And that's where true power comes from. I mean, just look at this classic negotiation. It makes it so obvious. Person A over here, they desperately need this deal to happen, so they're negotiating from a place of fear. But person B, they're totally willing to walk away from the table. They have other options. They're negotiating from a position of pure strength. The crazy paradox is, the less you need something, the more likely you are to actually get it. That's detachment in action. Trait number 5 is silent leverage. You know, most people think power has to be loud, yelling, making big demands. Honestly, that's amateur hour. Real power? It whispers. It's the art of positioning yourself so that your calm presence and your patience are actually the most powerful forces in the entire room. For example, when you're talking to someone, what's the one tool you have that gives you instant control over the pace and completely shifts the power dynamic? It's usually the one thing that people are the most terrified to use. Silence. Most people cannot stand a silent pause. They rush to fill the void. The moment you become comfortable with that pause, you control the entire conversation. You'd be amazed at what the other person will reveal just because they're trying to fill that space you've created. Next up, we have something called the psychological echo. This is huge. Deep down, every single person you ever meet is silently asking 3 questions. Do you see me? Do you understand me? And do you value me? When you can make someone feel seen, understood, and valued, you build an incredibly powerful bond. You stop listening just to figure out what you're going to say next, and you start listening to actually understand them. That's how you build real trust and influence. So, we've gone through perception and influence. Now for the final piece of this puzzle, the art of action. This is all about making the winning move and actually getting results. Okay, now this is probably the most controversial trait, so it's really important that we get this right. Ambiguous morality does not mean you don't have any morals. Not at all. It means you understand that the world is complicated. It's shades of gray. It means being pragmatic and realizing that sometimes the nice thing to do isn't actually the right thing to do, especially if being nice in the short term causes a lot more harm in the long term. The mental shift is all about moving your focus from appearances to outcomes. So instead of asking, does this decision make me look like a good person, you start asking, what action will create the best possible outcome for the most people involved? You see the difference? It's about practical ethics, not a lack of them. And that brings us perfectly to our final trait, outcome obsession. This right here is what separates the true professionals from the amateurs. So many people get sidetracked. They want to win arguments, they want to look good in meetings, or they just want to feel busy. But outcome-obsessed people, they cut right through all that noise. They are laser-focused on one thing and one thing only, getting results, period. This is exactly why they live and breathe the 80-20 principle. They get that most of your results, like 80% of them, are going to come from a tiny handful of your activities, maybe 20%. They aren't trying to be the person who works the hardest. They're focused on being the person who is the most effective. They put their energy where it's actually going to make a difference. So, we've just covered 8 incredibly powerful traits of strategic intelligence. But here's the thing. Knowledge by itself is useless, and power without a purpose can be really dangerous. It's so important that we remember why we're learning this stuff in the first place. And that leads to the ultimate question, doesn't it? This kind of power, it comes with a heavy dose of responsibility. So what are you going to do with it? The whole point of gaining these insights is so you can use them ethically, to see through manipulation, to navigate complex situations, and to create better outcomes, not just for you, but for the people around you. At the end of the day, the most dangerous person might be someone with nothing to lose, but the most valuable person is the one who understands these dynamics and uses that knowledge to make things better. So really, the final question isn't about what you know, it's about who you decide to become with that knowledge. What kind of person do you choose to be?